Okay, hopefully this is going to work. I just trying to go live here. Let me make it so I can view a few things here. Give me 1 second. Okay. All right. So, as maybe a few people might have noticed, I put an announcement. If you go to the Wasatch Sasquatch Facebook, not Facebook, YouTube page on the channel there, you click on the post tab, and there's an announcement up in all caps, and I'll just read it here. So we'll be doing 3 Utah expeditions in 2025, July, August, September, and Nathan Rio will be part of it. Anyone that we've squatched with in the field before equals free attendance. New attendees will be charged $50 for the 3-day expedition. These will be amazing, scenic, very squatchy locations where you will feel like you're on a safari and as if a Cretaceous dinosaur might appear out of nowhere, and of course, Sasquatch. Watch for the live video I'll be doing this Saturday to give more information, answer questions, plus give a sign up link. In the meantime, here are videos that give you some idea of the locations. And then if you go to this, what I'm reading here, there are the links to past videos where I've visited these spots. Excuse me. And I picked these locations because, if I were paying money to go on an expedition for 3 days, I would want it to be a spot that felt like I was getting my money's worth. For instance, there's lots of, you can go to BRFRO website, pull something and say, hey, was a sighting here. You can show up at the spot and it looks like it's, a dumpster behind Walmart or something. I mean, you know what, in my opinion, at least, I wouldn't want to pay big bucks for a sighting that Sasquatch is just passing through, or, in other words, I'd want something to be somewhat scenic. And if we don't have major interactions with Sasquatch, we're still going to profit from the natural beauty of the scenery. So that's what I've picked with these locations, and as I mentioned, I spoke to Rio for several minutes, well, for a little while earlier this week, and he's on board to be in attendance, and I've talked to him about the spots that are picked here, and he's looking forward to it. So if anybody, obviously on my channel, most people know Nathan Rio, or at least a lot of people do. He used to have, for anybody who doesn't know, he used to have a pretty good online presence, especially on YouTube. He's had a kind of a, what's the word, absence for a while, and I think he posted something about politics that, of course, half people wouldn't agree with. I don't agree with Rio on, much on politics and things, so we usually don't talk about that. But we're still, we respect one another, and we're friends and have the common interest of squatching. So anyway, he'll be there. I wanted to also mention, as I said in the post, I believe that so there is a charge, but anybody who has squatched in the past with Rio or myself, or we're not going to charge you. It just seems kind of odd to all of a sudden start charging people that we've hung out with before, and that will carry over to anybody who's a new, uh, you know, I guess you could say squatcher or researcher, or whoever you want to call it, not researcher, but field investigator, someone who comes out with us. We're just going to charge once, and then from then on, there's not going to be additional charges. Obviously, you wouldn't want to run a business that way. And I'm just kind of trying to strike the balance between, some people feel as if you charge anything for a Sasquatch outing, all of a sudden you've, you know, denied the faith of Sasquatch or something like that. And which, I can kind of understand to some extent. I mean, but on the other hand, gas isn't free, and these are really good locations. I guess I've been doing this since what, like probably before 2016, so almost 10 years doing this. You have the Bigfoot expedition people, charging money for what have they had, like 5 seasons or 6 seasons? I don't know, but anyway, I'm just saying that, I'm hoping you'll get your money's worth. And one thing, we won't be providing meals, so I'm sorry, but you're happy to, welcome to provide your own meals. We might have a little extra food that, to go along with whatever you bring. But anyway, let's get into the, well, let me also say before that, I also didn't want to go the other route with Todd Standing, where he's charging over $1,000, and he's, that type of thing for a Bigfoot expedition. I can understand, though, he's taking you way out in the middle of nowhere in in Canada, and he's, he has his own thing going there, but this is a little bit sized down from that as far as, how we're approaching it. So we don't want to charge or even compete with, what he's doing, obviously. But we're hoping we will have some Sasquatch interactions, and these are spots that also pick that are specifically the very squatchy, I would say, how we tend to think of squatchiness with dense trees, lots of, structures and areas that look like they could be wallows. But anyway, let's see here. Let me just check something. Yep. So, all right. So I'm just going to go into a few. I'm going to share my screen here, and we're going to kind of go over some of the information. Let me go ahead and try to give a link here to the sign-up form. Actually, let's hold off on that for now. I will mention, there are 3 spots we're going to. One is for July, one is August. The last one will be in mid-September. All right, the first one is one entitled, and you can follow along with what I'm saying here just by, again, going to that post tab. All right, let me go ahead and try to share my screen here. And I realize it's a Saturday and it's not even 8 o'clock. So nobody's watching the feed, which is fine. If you do have questions I'm not answering here, though, go ahead and throw it in the comments, and I'll try to, as long as you're not, specifically trying to color it in a way to be hurtful to Rio or myself, I'll allow the post and I'll respond to it, that type of thing. Obviously, I, anticipate, you never know what you're going to get on social media. I'm sure there'll be someone who's just really ticked off that we even dare consider, inviting people and charging a little something. Okay, let's go ahead and share screen. Okay, hopefully you can see my Firefox, and I will switch over to. So this is just so you can see. This is if you were trying to visit my YouTube channel. Here's the post tab, and voila, there's the post about the outings we're going to try to do. And we'll just see how these go. I mean, we're assuming that they'll go well, and we've done plenty of outings before. Just we haven't really invited people outside of our immediate knowledge. People that we know immediately. Rio has, of course, he's invited people, many people over the years in the past. But okay, so let's see. This is the first one, Primeval Floor Shelf. I'm just going to kind of click through a few areas in this video, and I had all the links. You can click through these as well. For instance, here's the first link, and which I have pulled up here. And this is on the floor shelf. I thought about maybe showing you a Google Earth tour, but I don't know if I want to do that, for obvious reasons. Have the locations all over the internet. People can usually figure out where it is if you start doing that. So anyway, so this is one structure on this particular area. I was interested. I noticed it's comparing. So here's my first visit to it back in 2019. If you look at this note, this tree right here, And then if I go back here, it's gone. I don't know if it fell down here, but there's a new tree that's put up there instead. Again, here's 2019 and there's 2021. So anyway, it's kind of unusual. I wonder if something I had to physically move it there, or if it was fell into place. It looks to me kind of like it was placed there, right at the that juxtaposition right there, and this X is gone, and maybe again like it fell down there. This spot is really so. This is between two different hikes that are on trails in the Wasatch Mountains of Utah somewhere, and I guess some people who recognize the different mountain ranges in Utah, maybe they could figure out where this is. But I did want to at least give you some idea that here's if you go on the edges of this shelf, it's kind of separated. It's kind of sorry, we have a commercial here, a weight loss commercial. Okay, so this is you on one side of the forest shelf, which you would get if you were to hike further up the trail. But this is high enough elevation where you can get this view if you want to get out of the forest and you get on the edge. And then on the other side, let's see, you get this view. Once it loads here, you get that view. So anyway, both of these will be on this particular first outing. You can see all that from this one again in July. And yeah, let me see. Let me give you a kind of view of the forest. So here's some of the forest in summer, how it would look. Pretty thick in some areas. It just depends. This one is not a long hike, but there is an area where it's very rugged and steep. So I'd recommend being in, pretty good cardiovascular condition for this one. Definitely want to be in good shape. If you're having a question, I probably would say skip it, because even though it's not long, there is, like I said, there's a steep area, and the whole thing is the shelf is kind of tilted, but even though there's kind of a pocket in there where it's flattened in the center of it, where we more easily camp. All right, so that's that one. Let's go on to the next one. And it looks like we actually have 4 people watching now. You can go back and watch this later on. If you missed anything, I did quite a bit at the beginning there, but okay, so this is the sign-up sheet. Let me try to put this in the chat, see if this works. Hold on, I think there's a better way to do that. Get pre-filled link. Well, let me see if that works. I'll dump this in the chat, and if it doesn't work, I'll get it later. Let me just put this as sign up form. Oops. And if anybody wants to try that out, see if that works. Oh, hi, Bigfoot Dwarf, the former Brown Dwarf, I believe. I noticed you recently changed your name online, at least. your what do you call it, avatar name? But anyway, that's the sign up forum. If you want to let me know if that's working or not, that'd be great. But I'm just going to keep going along here. I just finished up this one, and there are more videos if someone wants to look at it more. Okay, on to August 21st through 23rd. And all these are Thursday through Saturday expeditions, just for your information. I've called this one, decided to call it Deep Mountain Sasquatch Territory. This one requires a pretty long drive in. I mean, you're driving through the forest for quite a few miles. There's a way to get in to it from the other side where there's a actual what do you call it? Actual town, but the problem with that side is that the roads are so bad that last time I tried to go in there, I went in with a couple of squatcher guys, and we got two flat tires, and we had a hike out, and so we're going to do the longer drive in because that's the way the roads are a little bit better. Let me go and pull a video here from. In fact, let's start with this one, just to give you an idea, like we did on the last one, of a structure that was there. Hopefully, it's still there. If not, things can move around and be reorganized other ways. And you can't hear the audio here, but I'm just going to kind of sample the video and narrate it, I guess. It took me a while to find the squatchy part. I mean, there's a fairly sizable forest. A lot of it is very green and has bogs and, well, not bogs, but there's a marsh area and there's a little pond. But that one didn't have the squatchy stuff. So, okay, so this is a kind of a fresh down tree there. And there you have it. I'm just decided to call this wooden Triforce megalith. It's very large, and it's kind of a triangle there. So this is it, spot 2 that we'd be visiting in August. And let me just click onto one more video as a sample. And let's see here. Sorry, I got too many tabs. Close that one. All right, so let's try. Oops, looks like these ones aren't working. These, I have to fix that. Well, you can copy and paste them, I guess. Let me go and copy and paste this one. Uh-oh. It's sorry, since this is live, it's going to be a little bit, if I had edited this, it would be a little more smooth, but just have to kind of make do here. Maybe I will take it down and edit it. Probably not. I don't know. All right, so this is kind of a squatchy area. This is back in 2017. It was entitled Undisclosed Location. And let me click further back. And you kind of get some idea of squatchiness. Obviously, videos like this never do the spot justice, really. Let me go over to where the Triforce megalith is. Oops, got another commercial for you, unfortunately. So this, I don't know if anybody knows, Jill and Tim and Jill in California. They visited this spot back in 2017 here, and this is Jill just kind of modeling this structure for provides scale for it, so you can see how big it is. Again, I don't know if it's Sasquatch that did this, but it seems like an odd construction, whatever it is. And more squashiness here. There's yep. These are a little bit. There's Tim. And yeah, so this is Second spot, I wish I could. Oh, here's kind of a water area that we found on the. Anyway, I don't know if I have much to say about it. Apparently, this pond was made by someone, 1963. Anyway, all right, and that's this one. There's more videos. I don't want to drag this out too long, but you're welcome to look at some of these other ones. The first part on this is just me driving there, so you get an idea of how long of a drive it is in. And I don't really find the squatchy stuff until about 6 minutes into part 5. Although I do hear some wood knocks and things, and it's nice and green. Okay, let's move on to the September outing. And again, as I mentioned earlier, Rio will be attending these. At least he plans to. Obviously, if he gets ill, that's another thing. Let's see. I had a question here by E. Bolsheman. I guess it'd be Bolshema. Okay. Do you think that the trees being lifted and set like that as directional signals or building? I would imagine probably that and everything else. I mean, there's some that look like they're territorial markers. Obviously, we don't know, but some that seems like they put in locations where humans are just to kind of mimic what they're doing and almost bring children in. There's times where we wonder if they're kind of, we don't know, but maybe some of the juvenile ones are daring, each other to go into an area and put one up at night. It seems like they appear at night very often, but I imagine there's all sorts of reasons. Some of them might be to mark, a trail. They seems like they go along a corridor and they kind of, point to certain areas where they're directing Sasquatch or you if you can recognize them. Yeah, directional signals is probably one of the main ones that things that are just a tree knocked down. Those don't seem to be directional. There's sometimes where they'll put a tree that's in a Y, and I don't know. It seems like there's anyway. Yeah, maybe a territorial marker like between two groups. So yeah, it could be all sorts of things. I would imagine. Maybe there's even we don't know anything about their religion or anything, but I don't know. Maybe they have some type of reverence for certain things that we've seen where they'll take a extra big pine tree and they'll lay up all these trees around it, and we call those sometimes uh, what's the term we were using, homage trees, homage or Amish trees. So anyway, those are just some examples. Okay, September 11th through 13th, 2025. Sorry if you had some specific September 11th thing related to the towers and on 9/11, but if everybody does, I guess we can maybe change that. But that's right for right now. That's when this one is scheduled. It's at Frog Log Wallow. Let me go in and pull up a video about that one. So this is the most recent video for that one. So hopefully it'll be a little better quality. Some of my older ones a little shakier and that type of thing back about 10 years ago or so. Okay, take a second, get past the commercial. Oh, there's an impression there. Good. Could have been humans though. Okay, so here's a commercial. Okay, so here's a potential structure. Kind of you see a little triangle that's composed there. Well, this is Frog Log Wallow. This one, it's a pretty tough hike to get down to and back up. There's elevation change and it's a long drive in. I'm thinking at least right now on day one, we're just going to camp at another interesting location that's not that far off the mountain road. And then day two, we'll go and maybe hike into the actual Frog Log Wallow. But both of them look like they're going to be pretty. The other one looks like it could be as squatchy as this one. Just another clip of a wall-like area with X's, complete with X's and such. Oh, there's Rio. No, that's not Rio. That's another friend. That is Lauren. Um, anyway, let me pull one last video from this one. This is when I took a fellow and his little daughter in. So just some hope for some of you that, wondering if you can make it or not. This probably 8-year-old girl hiked in it. But, obviously kids have lots of energy, and I would recommend would recommend though you be in reasonably good shape. If you have a question about whether you wouldn't be in good enough shape, then you're probably not in good enough shape because these are, keep in mind the elevation is, probably around 8,000 range, something like that. Froglog Wallow has a natural pond. Let me see if I can find that in here. And the kind of wallow surrounds it. I don't see where I video the pond. Maybe it's right here. Okay, that's the pond right there. It looks like the water's kind of on the lower side, but let me check the chat here. Did anybody have a chance to check that sign up form? See if it, let's go over that here in just a moment. Sorry, I'm clicking back and forth. Okay, no more comments on the thing, but all right, so that's the 3 spots: primordial forest shelf, deep mountain, Sasquatch territory, Froglog Wallow. Okay, so here's again the sign up form. I'm going to put a post with this here to right when I get off the video. And again, it'll be in the post section right here. You'll just click on publish posts, and there should be a link in a moment to the sign up. I probably should have that there beforehand, but right now you can get it hopefully in the comments, the side chat comments here on the live video. Okay, so here's the sign up sheet. You have the 3 different locations, and then you can click here how many participants, and maybe if you were inviting someone to go with you, you click, okay, 2 participants after I've looked at this and this one meets my expectations. Okay, let's select 2 participants for primordial forest shelf, July 17th through 19th. Or, this one as well, it's the same process. You can look through what's there and select your number of participants. Same deal for Froglog Wallow. Then you come down here, and yes, you do have to provide a name, email. Address isn't required, but you could add it for whatever reason. Phone number, emergency contact name, just in case, emergency contact phone number. And there you go. Let's see. Let me check something here. Okay. And that's pretty much it. Then it shoots off an email to me, or it should. And then I'll provide a link where you can make payment. I guess I need to put up here that it's $50. Again, just to repeat for anybody who, I don't know, maybe missed the first part of the video. We're not charging people who have squatched with us before, Rio or myself. And those who squatch with us one time, it's a one-time fee. It doesn't seem right to keep charging people over and over for outings. So we're just going to do it that way, kind of try to strike a happy medium there. and don't want to charge too much as well. Obviously, squatching, most people don't want to pay $2,000 to go off and squatch for 3 days or something like that, even if you know top shelf meals are provided or whatever. So anyway, that's what we're doing. If it were a business, I'd probably be charging every time, but we're just gonna kind of if we do any in 2026, provided that we're not bombed back to the Middle Ages, then if you've squatched with us this year, then you won't, it's free next year. So anyway, if anybody has any questions about that, you can put some comments in there. That's pretty much everything I had. I don't want to take everybody's time and laboriously going through every video here, but on your own time, you're welcome to research each spot. Unfortunately, that's the best I can do, and decide which one you like best, or maybe you want to pick more than one of them. Just depends. I also should mention we wanted to, probably won't have any problem with limits of people, but in case we did, we're going to limit to 10 people um, per location, and what we'll do is we'll split up to camping groups of 3. I think that'll give us a better chance of interacting with Sasquatch. If you have a group of 10 people, there's no way they're going to be anywhere near you, so we would kind of spread out once we got to the place and actually camp apart from one another, maybe on opposite sides of a clearing, that type of thing. So anyway, just that's a heads up on how that would work. 10 max for each of these outings. And if, everybody is a non-paying person, then that's just how it goes, because if we've squatched with them before, then they aren't paying. If everybody's paying because it's new and they've never even been to Utah or squatched with Rio or myself, then that's how that will be as well. Okay, hopefully that's all clear. I guess I'll go ahead and wrap it up here. And yeah, sorry, I keep clicking back and forth like this. Let me quit presenting here. Probably should have done that a while ago. Hi, Bigfoot Truth. I don't know how long you've been watching, but I just kind of wrapped up the rundown of our 2025 outings we're going to have with Rio. Hopefully, should be there as well. I talked with him, and he's looking forward to it. Last year, usually we just do kind of 1 or 2 a year, but we thought we'd try for 3 and see how it goes and actually invite other people on the internet, kind of like how I used to do. But last year we did one in Idaho, and he couldn't make it because he became ill. So anyway, hopefully he'll be fine this year. You just never know. But we've got him for about 30 minutes. So if anybody has any more questions, like I said, feel free to post a comment after this stream ends. Yeah, I hope it turns out well. I've tried to carefully pick these spots. They're kind of a nice, happy medium where, you don't have to do a 20-mile multi-day hike into the Uinta mountain range. But they're also pretty far, away from anything, and they're really, I think, scenic areas as well as having squatchy wallows and that type of thing, and pretty high probability of Sasquatch being somewhere around. Who knows if they'll interact with us, those evenings or not, but they're always a good chance. Oh, I guess I'll mention in closing, usually I'm not wearing a beard, but I was in the last couple of years. I don't know if anybody knows about The Chosen. It's a kind of a crowd-funded thing that has to do with the last few days of Life of Christ. And so I was been a background cast member the last couple years. This year, though, they had so many people. They had 1,200 people apply. I guess it finally caught on, and they only picked a small percentage. I think they mainly needed Roman soldiers because it's, getting near the end of it. So they didn't pick me this year, which unfortunately is unfortunate because I grow out my beard more than I normally do. But so that's the reason for the beard. I'll probably trim this up here soon. I don't know if I'll completely get rid of it though immediately. Oh, sorry, there's some questions here in the Bigfoot Truth. Wasatch Mountains in the general location of Salt Lake City. Yeah, so they're different. I don't want to give the exact spots. Let me think. One of them actually is, I believe, in Salt Lake County. One of them it would be in Utah County, And let me think. Let me look at them here. That's a good question, though. Two of them are in Utah County, and one of them is in Salt Lake County. However, they are pretty far removed from regular human traffic, I would say for sure. There are a lot of mountains in both of those spots. We didn't want to make it, so far out in the middle of nowhere that, you need to get a life flight out and, that type of thing, just, for practical reasons. You know, but we also didn't want to make it to where, you could just, some place where I was joking earlier that sometimes you can go on the BFRO and look up a Sasquatch sighting and you find out it looks like it's located at the back dumpster of Walmart. We didn't want to have something like that and be an outing and charge people for that. So I picked spots that are scenic, middle of nowhere. Well, you know, as far as you can get in these counties, but they aren't so what's the word? Inaccessible that everybody's gonna have a heart attack, trying to get there. Oh yeah, Little Cottonwood. Yeah, yeah, I like doing mountain hiking in the summer. I mainly do it for landscape photography, but I always have my squatching eyes on it, and as well, just in case. In fact, I was going to do Lone Peak here June 7th, but couldn't get enough people that were confident that they could do the hike. So well, not, so we canceled it. But I've done that one once before myself, I think in 2019. Lead just to the cirque up there in June. Had to use crampons because it was, a lot of thawed and free frozen snow at that time period. Where were you in Little Cottonwood Canyon? You don't have to say if you don't want, but that's a nice area. Big Cottonwood Canyon, Little Cottonwood Canyon are both really popular hiking areas. And we also wanted to pick spots where someone actually came from out of state. They would still be wowed by the scenery. So, um, didn't want just to be in a mucky, dark, spot that's, obviously we want to have, Sasquatch interaction is the top thing, but, in case we don't have a ton of interaction or we just have a wood knock or two, at least the spot is still pretty, so that we picked. Lisa Falls. Okay, I've heard of that. I haven't been to that one, but there are a lot of nice waterfalls. Let me think. Some I've been to. I've been to Horsetail Falls up near Alpine. That one's nice. Of course, Bridal Veil's right by the road. There's Stewart Falls. Everybody likes down here. I don't know. That hike's a little more boring to me, but um, there's the Grotto Falls, which is in Payson. However, that got all burned out. Anyway, there's lots of falls. I think there's Donut Falls. I've never been to that one, and I want to go to, was it Hughes Canyon Falls or something like that? I think I want to do that one this year, but anyway. Okay, well, I guess I'll wrap it up. I gotta go do some other things, but I'll go and end the stream. Thanks for commenting. Vince Marshall, Bigfoot Truth, Bolshema, and Bigfoot Dwarf. Glad someone was here, actually here. Anyway, all right, talk to you later. Maybe I'll see some of you in the field, and Rio too. So.